Hello. An awful lot to talk about with our weather during the next few days. A band of heavy rain has now arrived across western parts of the country, sweeping in with strengthening winds, and as it bumps into cold air in the north, the threat of snow. All of this associated with Storm Jorge. This was named by the Spanish Met Service because of impacts expected over Spain, but it also brings significant impacts to the Republic of Ireland and the UK. Initially, the concern is about rainfall and snowfall because of these weather fronts. And then for the second half of Saturday into the start of Sunday, the isobars tighten there. You can see strong winds, particularly for Northern Ireland, parts of Wales and Northern England. And with that wind, colder air sweeps back in with some wintry showers. But we've already got cold air in place across northern and eastern parts of the country. This wet weather has arrived earlier in the day. Some particularly soggy conditions there, Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest. But just ahead of this warm front, that's where we've still got cold air in place. That's where we've seen snow falling across parts of North Wales and Northern England. So if we follow that through the rest of today, you can see the snowfall primarily above 200 metres for parts of Northern England, the Pennines, Lake District, the North York Moors. Risk of some disruption over higher routes because of that snowfall. But as the warm front moves in, it turns it back to rain. Now, by the afternoon, the main focus for snowfall is across Scotland, especially north of the Central Belt. Again, mainly higher routes impacted by that snowfall, above 200 metres or so, that snow building up. But I wouldn't rule out some sleet or wet snow down to lower levels at times as well, Central Belt northwards. That's the snow, but also some substantial wet weather moving in with this weather front. So the weather front marking a really significant boundary between the cold air and the much milder air. And of course, with that milder air, we've got a lot of moisture. And that moisture, once it arrives, it dumps an awful lot of it over the higher ground of the west, Wales in particular. Now, the heavier rain is associated with the warm front, and once it clears through, it's generally a bit more drizzly rather than persistent wet weather across central and western parts of England, as well as much of Wales. But it's over the higher ground of Wales where that wet weather will be heavy and prolonged for the next 24 hours or so. Temperature, well, you can see the significant contrast that warm front makes. Very mild in the southwest, 12, perhaps 13 Celsius. 2 or 3 at best further north and east. A sharp boundary. Warm front moves through, easing for a time in terms of rainfall through the evening, and then another band of very heavy rain moves in, courtesy of a cold front. Some strong gusty winds, perhaps even 70-mile-per-hour gusts in exposed parts of the English Channel there. 50, perhaps even 60 inland as that cold front goes through. A really lively feature, primarily overnight, bringing more wet weather to parts of Wales and western areas of England, as well as Northern Ireland. Now, all in all, this rainfall across western parts of the country, 30-40 mils perhaps in places. Yellow warnings in force for Northern Ireland, parts of western England, as well as Wales. But over the Welsh Mountains in particular, well, that's where we are particularly concerned. We don't need any more rainfall, and that's where it's going to be wettest, significantly more than 50 mils in places. Temperatures, well, largely holding up overnight, but dropping away behind the weather front across Northern Ireland. Perhaps some slippery surfaces first thing here. Ice warning in force. The worst of the wet weather moves through during Saturday morning. Brighter skies follow, but it's at this stage that the winds start to ramp up. A swathe of especially strong winds pushing into Northern Ireland during Saturday afternoon and then arriving into Irish Sea coast, Wales, Northern England later in the day. 60, perhaps 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts in exposed locations. It's going to feel cold in that wind, of course, with temperatures lower across all parts behind the cold front. Here's Storm Jorge, and into Saturday night you can see this swathe of tight isobars and strong winds moving through Northern Ireland, parts of Wales, Northern England. Windy everywhere, apart from, say, parts of central and northern Scotland, where we're closer to that low pressure centre. But yeah, 50-mile-per-hour gusts fairly widely, but risk in some places of 60 or 70. Those kinds of wind speeds can be damaging and disruptive. Yellow warnings in force. So we've got the rain, we've got the snow, and through the weekend, we've got that strong wind. Lots to pay attention to with the weather. And of course, you can find all the very latest on social media, website and app. Bye-bye.